Hey guys, today we're talking about bar ends, these things on the end of your grips, why you might want to install them, and why it's a good idea, at least why I like to run them. I like to run bar ends because every time you go down, every time you have a digger or you tip your bike over, this bar end is going to come in contact with the ground. Now, if you're not running like a full wrap setup, full wrap handguard setup, you definitely you're going to go through a lot of grips and just rip the crap out of your grips if you're not running bar ends. So I like to run bar ends on all my bikes that don't have, of course that's not gonna come out, all my bikes that don't have full wrap guards. So this is my son's bike, and it's always fun to do this on camera. There we go. So now we got it out. So as you can see, I'll take some closer shots of this, but if you install bar ends, see this thing? I don't know if that'll focus right there. But this little thing takes all the impact for you, and then your grips don't get torn up, because every time you go down, like it kind of tears the end of the grip. You can see on this Husky, this is a brand new bike, I've only ridden it a couple times. On the Husky, it's still got the stock grips on here, and if I take a digger, when I take a digger, that's just gonna rip my grips up and I'll want to replace them. Versus having bar ends on there, the end of that bar, it gives you a durable material. Sometimes they're made of metal. I've got a couple of different ones over here I'll show you. These ones are the Cycra, I think they're called the Cycra Pro Grip Armor or something like that. I've also got some Tusk ones over here. So let me bring this in and just show you. And why am I talking about this? I love doing videos like this about the basics of these things on our bikes, because even though a lot of us have been riding for a long time, there's new people coming into the sport every year. And those people have questions about handguards and levers and bar ends and all of these things. And I've sort of become one of those guys that they trust and go to with a lot of these questions. So I put out a lot of videos about a lot of different things. And yeah, this seems like a pretty basic one to maybe some of you, but it's a good refresher for some people, and I'm trying to answer a lot of questions that I get in email or social media or something like this. So anyway, bar ends, that's what we're talking about. Let's come over to the bench and we'll take a look at a couple different kinds. Hey, if you like these videos or they're adding value to your life, go ahead and use the link right down here in the video description to Rocky Mountain ATV. You can find it on my website, dirtbikechannel.com, and it might enter you to win a dirt bike depending on if we have a sweepstakes going. So use the link right down here to buy any of this stuff for Rocky Mountain ATV. Okay, so let's look at a couple of different types of bar ends. This is the Cycra Pro Grip Armor. I think it's something like that. Anyway, you can see how this works. So essentially you've just got these little bolts that are going to go down inside of your bar end. So, and obviously that's just the grip here, but this has got a little washer that goes up against the end of the bar, and then this plastic piece comes out here. And then this is kind of like an expansion nut, or I don't know what you'd call that. This is the thing that then actually makes that expand. So as you put this down inside the bar, you'll turn this obviously with your Allen wrench or whatever. And as soon as you can get this with the right amount of pressure, this little thing will start to expand this collar, this expansion nut, and that will stay in the end of the bar, and it will look like that. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do it. If your grips are a stock grip, you'll need to get you need to cut out the end of the grip. This is a tool that I bought from Tusk many years ago from Rocky Mountain ATV. Stick this down in here, put it on like, a board or something, and then bam, you can cut that out, cut the end of the bar out, or cut the end of the grip off is what I'm trying to say here. So that's how that would work. Or you can actually, ODI makes these awesome open-ended grips here. Those are really cool. I like using those because then it's super seamless. So on your left-hand side, on the clutch side, you can slide this right up to the end of the bar and then just bam, put that on there, and it'll be great. On the throttle side, this is a throttle one, so we'd have to cut that out. You want to make sure that you have a little bit of a gap when you put your throttle on. You just got to make sure that your bar end isn't inhibiting your throttle action, okay? So pretty self-explanatory there. But these are there's a lot of different bar ends that I've used throughout the years. These Cycra ones are great. This Tusk set is a little bit different, and these are also really cool. So let me explain the differences with these. And I'll have links to all this stuff down in the video description. One of the cool things about these Tusk ones is they work slightly differently. Okay, so with the Tusk one, the reason why it's a little bit different is it's using just a piece of rubber here to expand. And it's a little different because this doesn't actually, it's a little bit smaller diameter. So if you notice the difference between this, you can see a little bit of, there's a little bit of grip still showing on this, whereas on the Cycra one, it's gonna come out kind of covering the entire grip. So pros and cons to both options. This might give you a little bit more support or more protection, whereas the Tusk one is designed to be a little bit smaller and a little bit less of a profile. Some guys really like that, but it works in essence the same way. They come with a bunch of different rubber inserts. You just find the one that works best for your bar, and then you'll put this on here. And the same way, same thing. This is just going to come down and expand this and squish. You can see as you turn this screw, it's going to squish this thing out and expand that out, and that's how it stays in the end of the bar and it won't fall out. So this is an billet aluminum piece, whereas these Cycra ones, it's a plastic one. So you can replace the plastic on these, and with the Tusk ones, you would just buy a whole new set. But you know, pros and cons to both. I've used them both and I actually really like them both. Okay, so let me show you how this works. We'll just take this old grip off, and then I will show you. I can clean that off just a little bit. I can slide this new grip on, and since I'm using the open end bar, or the open end grip, I will just kind of get this to where it's flush right here, just like that. And then I'll show you the look of the two different ones. So this is the Cycra one. So you can see where this washer right here comes in contact with the end of the bar, and that will give a lot of great protection. And then I'll just spin this down. Sometimes you have to mess with it just a little bit, but you'll just spin this down and tighten this up until that thing is snug and it doesn't want to come out. So that's how that would look. This is the Tusk one. So I'd have to make sure I've got the right piece of rubber in here, which this one might be the one. Actually, that one might be a little too big. Obviously, I'd want to tighten this grip. So let me just do that real quick. This is the lock-on grip. I love the lock-on grips. So I can just lock that right on the bar like this. So that's not coming off. I prefer the lock-ons. Let me get a different piece of rubber. So they give you all these different rubber pieces to choose from. And so I would just be probably picking this one, stuffing that in there. And then once I've got it to where it's just about right, then I'll take my Allen wrench and screw that in, and this bar end will stay on just like that. And you can see there's a little bit less overlap on this one. So it just depends on what you want. Some guys want this more rounded look, this kind of gives you more of a really awesome finished look. Of course, over time, that might get beat up. Whereas with these ones, it's a little bit, it's plastic, just trade off. So it depends on what you want. But both of these options are really great, and that's going to protect your grips and make your grips last a little bit longer as you take those diggers. So that's kind of the basics of bar ends. It's a little easier on this side because you don't have to worry about the throttle. This doesn't have to turn. You can see on the throttle side, you just want to make sure that the way that you've got your grip trimmed off enough so that this bar end right here is not interfering with the throttle at all, so the throttle can still move freely. So it's a little bit more critical on this side to make sure that everything is trimmed out perfectly, that the throttle assembly is in the right spot on the bar as far as forward, backwards and forwards, or in and out. And you can see there's play with this throttle, which is great. And that bar end is on there taking any hits. And you want to make it so that when this bike goes down on this side, and this thing is all the way, that bar end is all the way up against the end of the bar, and it can't ever jam the throttle here. So you just want to be careful that you install it that way. Hey, thank you so much for watching this deep into the video. If you're still watching, you're one of the true fans. If you want to support this, like I said before, please use my links to Rocky Mountain ATV for any of these products or anything else that you've got up there. I buy all my stuff from them. They've been a fantastic partner. It does not cost you anything to use that link. Rocky Mountain ATV pays me a kickback for sending you, and it's been a pretty good partnership. This is my son's bike that we're gonna be doing some rebuilding and overhauling over the winter to make this thing awesome and give it down to my 14-year-old son. So it's gonna be a pretty awesome project over the winter, and that's what we're planning on doing. But a lot of these things, people just, you know, you forget. You don't know what you don't know when you come into the sport, and so there's just some basic things that I get a lot of questions on, and it's fun. If you want, it's fun to answer them is what I'm trying to say. If you want to have a call with me, let's do it. So there's a link on my website that says book a call. I'll answer emails, we can do phone calls, and you just have questions like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, I want to get into the sport or whatever, or I want to get an opinion on what bike to buy for my first bike, my second bike, whatever. Let's have a conversation. Wouldn't hurt to chat. So anyway, thanks for your time, and until next time, lead a single track.